Over 1 year ago, Arrowhead Studios dropped us all into an interplanetary conflict between the forces of freedom, liberty, and democracy and their bug and bot oppressors. Helldivers 2 offered a cooperative experience that was, and still is, unparalleled, sending squads of 4 deep behind enemy lines to complete high-stakes missions, all while fighting off an onslaught of enemies. It's been a wild ride with plenty of ups and plenty of downs. But after a year of content updates, balance patches, community feedback, and dev responses, how does the game hold up? Is it better than it's ever been since launch, or has Arrowhead started to lose its way? I've been playing the game on and off since it was released, hopping in for a game every now and then just to see how the game is being updated over time. And I gotta say, every time I've jumped back into this game, I've been pleasantly surprised at what's been added. The game is a live war where players are given major orders to complete the overall narrative of this war, and this gives Arrowhead a lot of opportunities to add more content, either as a reward for players completing major orders or as a consequence of failing them. If I were to cover everything that's been added, I'd be here for a while, so I'll give a brief overview. New enemy types have been added, like the Factory Strider, giant factories on legs that totally don't resemble an AT-AT at all. Gunships were also added as a result of us failing the Operation Swift disassembly major order. Shriekers are winged monstrosities that attack in packs. They attack by dive-bombing players in the sky, and they are the perfect target practice. Impalers, armored bugs with tendrils that dig through the ground to ambush players, and a lot more enemy types have also been added. On top of that, of course, I have to mention the addition of an entirely new faction, the Illuminate. Squid-like aliens that wield advanced technology that rivaled, or dare I say surpass, Super-Earths, making them a clear threat to democracy. They also may or may not have had WMDs. Guess what that's a parody of? So, as any democracy-loving federation would do, we completely obliterated and exiled them from the galaxy in the first Helldivers. But they have since returned with a vengeance, being added to the game in December as a complete surprise to Helldivers across the world, causing a massive influx of new and returning players to defend democracy once again. And I'll be honest, I hadn't played the game for a few months because of the whole Sony account fiasco leaving a bad taste in my mouth. And don't worry, I'll get to that too. So jumping back in to fight the Illuminate was an incredibly fun experience, one that differentiates itself from the bots and the bugs in a big way. They're like a mixture of the Covenant from Halo and the Flood, using brainwashed citizens of Super Earth as cannon fodder zombies called the Voteless, along with Overseers, who are the armored medium infantry of the Illuminate army. Harvesters are their heavy units. Not only are their giant mechanical legs and laser beams that wreak havoc imposing, but their armor, HP, and shield make them very defensive and hard to kill. There are also Watchers patrolling the battlefield looking for Helldivers. For any coordinated team, they'd be a priority to take out, as they're capable of calling in Illuminate warp ship drops. One single Watcher is capable of causing complete mayhem for unsuspecting Helldivers. Overall, though, I'd say the balance of the Illuminate is perfect. Having the Voteless as a mass of cannon fodder to distract players from the Overseers, Harvesters, and Watchers create for an interesting balance between these enemy types. The Illuminate army is full of character, too. Voteless will salute you as you end them, showing a glimpse of their previous lives as Super-Earth citizens. Overseers will taunt you when they spot you before initiating combat. To think that this is just the beginning of the Illuminate army's onslaught against Super-Earth is incredibly exciting. With the black hole created by the destruction of Meridia being linked to the Illuminate and their invasion, everything is hinting towards the possibility that there's a lot more to come. Not only are the Illuminate a breath of fresh air, but there are also so many weapons and armor kits added thanks to the new war bonds. They finally added a car stratagem called the FRV. It kind of feels like driving a Warthog from Halo on ice, well, completely hammered. Every time me or someone else would crash or glitch, it was almost always hilarious. Super-Earth really doesn't care about the safety of their Helldivers. This thing doesn't even have seatbelts. Probably because they'd get in the way of our freedom to go flying at Mach 3 speeds towards our enemies. The cherry on top of all the things that they have added are the balance changes. In particular, they buffed my favorite weapon, the autocannon, adding flak rounds, making it super effective for air targets. And it feels a lot more powerful too, being able to knock back hulks with each shot. I guess now that I've addressed most of the incredible changes that this game has had over the last year, I should mention the elephant in the room, that being Sony and their corporate greed. In May of last year, Sony announced that all PC players of Helldivers 2 would be required to link their accounts to PlayStation Network in order to continue enjoying the game. Their reasoning was to enhance player safety. But let's be real, the game, including its crossplay features, were working fine without PSN being a requirement. The biggest issue resulting from that was that this game was available worldwide, unlike PSN, meaning players that were not in countries where PSN was available would effectively lose access to the game. So the game was pulled from Steam in those countries. This inevitably caused an outcry from players and a ton of negative reviews because, of course, to sell a game to players without advising them that PSN would be a requirement was bad enough. But to sell to players in countries where it isn't available and those players would just lose access, that's downright criminal, in my opinion. All this left a pretty sour taste in a lot of PC players' mouths, leading to a loss of player count that the game has not recovered from since. Even though Sony reversed this decision for Helldivers 2, they made it a requirement for later titles published on Steam, like Ghost of Tsushima and God of War Ragnarok. Two single-player games that now require a PSN account to play. Why? It's clear to me that Helldivers 2 might eventually require PSN in the future too, which is just unfortunate considering how the devs over at Arrowhead really wanted the game to be available to everyone. But honestly, that bit of corporate interference is all I really have against the game. It's still an absolute blast to hop in and kick some alien ass. There are added missions which keeps the game from feeling too stale. Even though it is a bit formulaic, this just doesn't get old. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you think. Do you still play Helldivers 2? What's your favorite addition or change? Will you still play the game if it requires PSN? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Till next time, see ya.